Welcome everyone to another episode of Elbows Tight Podcast. It's your host Travis and John. John, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. You know, it's the Christmas season right now.
Christmas.
So it feels like I have a Christmas party every day that I have to go to or I'm hosting. So if I seem a little slower today, we had another Christmas party last night.
Preach, man. I feel like we just had two back-to-back, one at John's house and then one at our other friend's house. And I don't even think Charles is really digging the Christmas parties because, I mean, what teenager is, to tell you the truth?
Right, yeah.
But because he was like, yesterday, we're like, hey, man, we got to go to our friend's house tonight. And he's like, why? Like, for another Christmas party? And he's like, another one? I was like, yes, yeah, another one, man. So, but it's the Christmas season, and, you know, we're thankful that people are inviting us over to their places to celebrate the holidays and whatnot. So,
Yeah, we're getting to meet new people, try to roping them into some jiu-jitsu if I'm trying
always,
it out.
Always. And you know what's funny too is John and I will try to not only rope them in, but then we'll slide in the, oh, by the way, we do a podcast. Like,
Yeah. And I mean, if I've had enough celebratory drinks, I might also show them some of my shitty jiu-jitsu.
shitty jiu-jitsu, really shitty
for
jiu-jitsu,
sure.
because John has been back on the mats quite a bit lately.
Yeah, I've been regular for the last couple weeks, so
Yeah.
that's nice.
Now, when you say regular at your age, are you talking about like into
Right.
jiu-jitsu
I mean, they're
or
both-
like
both-
you-
I mean,
bowels?
Both shit as far as I'm concerned right now. But yeah, rough times on the mat. I'm sure Travis might share some video with you.
Yeah,
guys.
I might throw it in this if you guys are watching this episode. I might throw the John's amazing rolling.
Yeah. He's
footage.
gracious enough to record me while I'm in my struggles,
Yeah.
getting back on the mat.
Yeah.
you know.
You know what? It's like, it's not necessarily I was doing it because like I knew you weren't going to be very good. I think you actually did pretty good, but you went against someone in our class that John, the other John, who's just, you know, actually really freaking good.
He's so good right now.
Yeah.
Teaches the kids class, was just
Yep.
helping him, really sink in his techniques. And yeah, he's really good right now.
Yeah, he's been, whenever I roll with John too, he's a couple years older than me too. I think he's like 39 or something like that, but he moves great. I mean, he doesn't move like you would think a 39-year-old would or whatever. He's very fluid. And then that was what I took away from like your role. I was like watching it back, and I was like, man, John's just playing with John. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I told you, like, being pretty much off the mats for a year. I mean, I only went in maybe 3 or 4 times over that year. It's interesting getting to spar with some of the people I sparred with a year ago, like Justin.
yeah,
Night and day difference.
yeah,
Like,
I bet.
night and day. I was like,
Yeah.
good God, I'm going to die. I'm going to be hurting for a couple months.
And that's what consistency does, right? Like when you actually show up to the mat like consecutively. Oh, shout out to our friend Jordan too. He's like episode 6 or 7 or something like that. Jordan, what's his last name?
Alamore?
Yes, yeah. If you guys haven't listened to his episode, it's really good. That was like our number 1 episode for years, to tell you the truth. But he recently got his blue belt, and I'm sure rolling with him is completely different than, because he's been very consistent as well. I'm sure rolling with him is completely different than when we rolled with them last. But Justin, our buddy Justin, he's becoming an animal, man. Like,
Yeah, he put a whooping on me.
what happened? Give me a play-by-play.
There's no I'm literally trying to breathe and survive. And, Justin's, he's definitely not 150 pounds, but now he's knowing how to work that whatever he's at. So
Yeah.
he's applying the pressure good. He's moving good. You can tell him and John have been working a lot. I was like, oh, man, by the time I get back into it, I'm just going to have to suffer. I'm like the dull knife in your kitchen that you can't even cut an onion with. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at right now.
I mean, you definitely. I wouldn't say you're a dull knife. Like you still have. Like I still won't let you get in mount, because even that one time that I rolled with you and you got into mount, I was like, dude, this guy's pressure, and he hasn't even been training, is still freaking ridiculous, man.
Yeah, well, I just hope I'm going to stay consistent. That's the plan right now. At least the 2 classes a week for now.
Yeah. Do you find it difficult to get back to those 2 classes a week, or has it been
Well,
pretty easy?
I mean, if you wouldn't have drove me that one day, I would not have went.
Listen.
So, I really wouldn't have went. I was
know.
not motivated. I only went once that week, and I was like, I'm just not going. Charles like, I'll drive you. I was like, all right, I got no excuse.
No, that's not what happened. John's downplaying what happened. First of all, John, he was like, I was like on the brink of posting on Instagram or like our Facebook page or whatever that John was wussing out of not wussing out, but he was unmotivated to go to jujitsu. And what John texted me was like, I have zero motivation to go to jujitsu today. I'm just not going. And I was like, well, you're not going. You don't have motivation because you haven't been going
That's
to jujitsu.
true. That's true.
You know what I mean? So you're not going to jujitsu isn't going to build the motivation to go to jujitsu. And so when I texted him that, he's like, geez, all right, I'll go.
And I was glad I went. And it's for me, if I get into a routine and I'm fine. If I break that routine for whatever reason, it could be my kid's basketball practice or my wife asked me not to go. And if that happens too much, it's very hard for me to get motivated to get back on that routine.
No, I agree with you. I've done some like thinking about it lately, and I've been in, not that I don't enjoy training, but I'm kind of like, I guess I'm going through like this funk in like just life right now where I don't feel super motivated, but I still like show up to, being a dad or a husband and a practitioner and friend and stuff like that. But it's like, it's one of those moments where it's like extra difficult to do it. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but even at training, well, I'm like, man, I'll just skip the rounds. And then I'm justifying in my head because, I got to get Charles home or something like that, if I'm being honest,
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I really got to just get out of this funk because it's not going to help me avoiding difficult things because I think I'm taking temporary or short-term gains of like easiness to avoid, and it's just going to cause long-term, repercussion. I wouldn't say repercussion, but it's like going to have a long-term effect if I continue to be like this,
Oh, I get it completely. Like for me right now, I'm just trying really small goals. Like nothing that I can't do, right? So like at least one real roll after class, right?
Yeah.
For now, that's it. Like one. Like there's no excuse I can't do one, even though I've been looking at the clock during these rolls, and I'm like, I have nothing in the gas tank, and I look up and it says you have 3 minutes and 20 seconds left, and I'm like, I'm going to die, no doubt. So at this point, it used to be before I had the surgery, before I didn't go for a year. You could many rounds in a row with no break, and you're not tired. Now it's like halfway through one round, and I need an oxygen tank.
You definitely look like you need an oxygen tank.
Yeah,
Like,
I did, like 100%.
It kind of reminds me of the time in Japan when you went against that young athletic white belt, and you got up, and it was like we mentioned, like Leonardo DiCaprio getting mauled by a bear. Like John's pants were like falling down, and he's like, "Why did you help me, man?" Every role I watch you now, it's like that happening.
It feels
over and
like
over
that
again.
all over again. It's like I'm brand new. I mean, that's what it feels like. At least these times I know I can breathe, get through it, and all that jazz. But yeah, it's not easy.
What do you find like the hardest part since you've been more consistent? Is it just the gas tank or?
It's my brain's not in line with my movements, so I'm having to think about things where it used to be more instinctual.
Yeah.
Right? So like whatever it could be, turning on my side or moving or framing, it's just not as quick. Like I know I need to do it, but it's just not as fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you still have, like I posted that little short Instagram clip of you and me rolling where I was like, we forgot what the drill was. It was just ended up like just rolling somewhat. But even in there, like I send it to Jordan Pressinger, and I'll send all like my Instagram clips to him and make sure that I don't look like an idiot before I post it on the internet. And he's like, yeah, it wasn't bad. He's like, you did some good things in there, but you didn't react to John's possible counters. And I was like, he's like, you could have just like easily just finished the move on the first pass. And I was like, all right, well, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it still happens to me too, even though I've been more consistent.
Yeah, some takeaways, interesting stuff is I feel like it's easier to learn in the classes since I've been going back. And I don't know, it's, because I was exposed to it for years prior to going back. And, I feel like now I can just really just pay attention. And, normally when me and you be in a class, I'm like, hey, bro, explain that again. Like, what the hell do I got to do? Like, what was that? Now it just seems easier to pick up the intellectual side of it.
Yeah, and I think even our coaching has changed a little bit too recently. Like Cody has been teaching a little bit more. Our brown belt, the school owner, he's been teaching a little bit more, and it's been more of conceptual things. He said he's trying to make it to where he's not necessarily teaching a technique more of showing a possibility and then having us play a game with it. You know what I mean? So he would say, hey, so we're going to start off in closed guard, and then bottom guy, I want you to hold closed guard. Here's a way to do that. Top guy, I want you to break guard, and then if it happens, then reset. And there's not necessarily like a real technique of like, okay, we're gonna grab here, let go here, and we have a little bit of that, but it's not nearly as much, and it's been more of us just like.
I love the way he's teaching it
Yeah.
right now. And I felt like when we started jiu-jitsu, that was kind of a problem, is everything was steps.
Yeah.
So when they would teach it was like, hey, you do this step, then this step. And I remember counting in my head, right, all right, we're 28 steps in. There's no way. I just let me remember the first 3.
Yeah.
And, I love the way they're teaching it now. Sometimes you just got to figure it out, right? And that's what he's letting people do right now. You're getting into position, like the finish, right?
Yeah.
And you're working back from there. You're getting out from there. He's just letting people figure it out. And at work, we had a Simon Sinek visit at work, right?
Yeah.
So I'm picking up all kinds of life lessons now and thinking about jiu-jitsu when people are talking, right? And we had a process improvement manager talking to Simon Sinek, and he was using some terminology that I feel like people use. Sometimes you just don't understand it. So he's talking to Simon Sinek. For people who don't know him, he's a really smart guy. You can look him up on YouTube.
Business guy.
But he's talking about like a knowledge threshold. And Simon Sinek's like, hey, can I be a bit of a bastard here? What does that even mean? And he's like, oh, it means you don't know what you don't know. And he's like, oh, well, why didn't you just say that? Why use the big words? Just say that so we could all understand it. And I feel like a lot of that happens in jiu-jitsu with some of the names of some of the moves, right? And I remember when Professor Al used to teach us some stuff, like I don't speak Japanese, right? So if you're going to use some of that terminology, now I'm spending 5 minutes trying to decipher that and remember it. So when you tell me to do it, I can recall it. I mean, you just could have said side control, or you know what I mean?
Like, Katami, you're like, I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is. Just use something else that's easier. But I feel like we could have used a lot of that earlier on in the journey. And what I like about Coach Sean now is he doesn't name anything really.
Yeah.
He just shows you the move and you go through it. And if people ask him, is that what it's called? He's like, sure. You know what I mean? Like, it's just easier to learn, I think, and easier to digest, especially for newer people.
Yeah.
That way.
Support for Elbows Tight is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code ETP20 at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 8 million balls.
That's a lot of balls, Johnny. When Manscaped reached out to work with us, I instantly thought, yes, what a deal. I've been using Manscaped products for a while now, and when they mentioned helping out with the podcast, I thought it was a no-brainer. I have the Lawnmower 4.0 now, but I had the Lawnmower 3.0 and absolutely loved it. Also, most people think about Manscaped as just trimmers, but really they have ball deodorant, ball toner, the weed whacker, which is your favorite thing, right, John?
Yeah, I love the weed whacker. Look, I'm about to hit like 45 years old, so I got hair growing out of everywhere now. So it's coming out my ears. I'm like, man, where is that weed whacker? It's definitely my favorite.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code ETP20 at Manscaped. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code ETP20. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools to get the job done with Manscaped. Yeah, I remember I said Kesukatami to Professor Sean one time. He's like, what is that? I was like the scarf hold? He's like, oh, yeah, I just call that scarf hold. I was like, okay, well.
Yeah, but that's a good example.
Yeah,
I was like, impressive. Was that even talking to a guy we met yesterday, and he was talking about, he said, the devil's always in the details. Now I can't get that shit out of my head when he said that. And I'm thinking about jiu-jitsu now, and I'm like, yeah, he's right, man. Those fine details, just, I don't know, maybe the longer you do this, you start getting wisdom outside of it, and you just apply it to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Have you, what's the biggest thing that you've gained so far since coming back?
So it's a little weird. It feels almost like a reset for me. I feel like before the surgery, And we may have talked about it before, but I feel like when you're progressing in jiu-jitsu, or I'll use Jack or Keegan, right? They started after us. They're both really good right now, right?
Yeah.
When you start seeing people like that moving up, sometimes you feel like a pressure, like that you have to perform, or that you have to be better because you've been doing it longer. And sometimes like, goddamn, I hope coach doesn't ask me to come out here and show something, right? Like,
You're embarrassing me.
yeah, and I think I was feeling that pressure a bit, even though it wasn't from them, it was just internal.
Yeah.
I feel just like a total reset right now, where I go and I just have fun. I really don't care how I look or what I'm doing. And I'm taking some of the lessons over the last year that I've heard, like, previous to that, if we were rolling and I'm rolling with a 3-stripe white belt or whatever, the last thing I would want to be is submitted. So maybe I'm not putting myself out there on trying some of my submissions, maybe reaching out for a Kimura or whatever, right?
Right.
I'm just not. Now I'm like, the hell with it. I'm just shooting everything, and I'm finding myself in the worst positions known to man that I can't get out of. And, I don't care who submits me at this point. I'm just trying everything and reaching, and I don't feel any pressure. And my goal is to make sure I don't feel that pressure.
Yeah, and I think that's an important aspect of anyone's journey, is these expectations that come along with your rank, whether it's a white belt with a couple stripes or a blue belt like we are, seasoned blue belts. You could be your own worst enemy if you're constantly comparing yourself to others, or if you're holding this expectation of what you should and shouldn't know to yourself. Like if you're on the mat and you get tapped by a white belt or whatever, you could be very critical of yourself, and that can be detrimental to your journey and really make you not want to, like you mentioned, try new things or whatever, because you're hung up on this idea of like, oh my God, I can't let this brand new white belt tap me, because then it doesn't legitimize my rank.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's a really slippery slope that you don't want to go down, because then you could start thinking like, oh man, I'm supposed to give this purple belt a harder time than I am right now. It's like, oh man, then maybe I really don't deserve my belt. Or like, it's one of those things where psychologically no one cares, like outside of what you're thinking in your head.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You're your own worst critic. Like,
yeah. No one cares. Like if I get tapped by white belts now, like I got hit with a omoplata the other day, and from a white belt, this guy's like a 2-stripe or whatever. I was actually surprised. Like he executed it really good. And instead of countering the way you're supposed to, I just kind of wanted to see if there was another way I could get out of it. And there wasn't. He had it locked in tight, and I reacted too slow. And I was like, you got me, bro. That was good. Justin, the guy that he was talking about, one of our buddies, a 3-stripe white belt. Now he's been doing this stuff for like 4 years.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead and sleep if you want to.
yeah. But he got me in a guillotine one day. I don't remember what I was doing. I was like maybe trying to pass his guard, and he sucked up a guillotine. My neck was exposed, and I was like, damn. I was like, that was good, man. No. To me, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the saying, rising tides lifts all ships. But like if my buddies that are white belts, or my fellow classmates that are white belts, they start progressing and giving me a harder role, that's just going to make me want to try harder and get better.
Yeah, if you find yourself comfortable and other people are still striving, you're about to feel it real quick. And yeah, you want some humble pie, take a year off. and you were already shitty, and then go back. Then you're like, I'm like, whoo, yeah. Everything's a struggle. It's good though. No problems. I like it. I'll tell you what though, I'm surprised. One thing I noticed is everybody likes to go for the knees and ankles, like right away now in class. Huge weakness of mine, because I don't ever really mess with it. I'm like, good Lord, everyone's grabbing these ankles and knees, and I got to watch it.
Yeah, I've been knee barring to people quite a bit lately. That's like my go-to submission lately, and it's just because, like I mentioned in a couple of previous episodes, I'm a little bit of a bigger guy to most people when I roll with them, so I try to play more of my bottom game and my like open guard, because smashing people is fun, but it doesn't really help my game if I'm constantly going to what works for me because of my size. So I play a lot more on my back and open guard. And my open guard sucks, but every once in a while I'll catch a leg. And if I catch a leg, there's a likelihood I'm going for a knee bar. So because it's just a very easy submission for me to go to, and to me, it's a safe submission because if you capture someone's legs, most people are, what are they going to do? They're going to stop and they're going to be like, holy crap, you have my leg. What am I supposed to do? And then I can apply it really slowly, the submission, so it doesn't hurt people. As to where if we're like heel hook or something else, then, a jerk is going to cause them to hurt themselves or something like that.
Yeah,
But-
I'm gonna have to go reread like maintaining your guard because my shit's getting passed like real quick. I don't even. I mean, I don't. I'm like, whoo, boy, I've actually got rusty at this. Like, I better go read a book or something.
I'll post it'll probably go on Instagram, but John and I, we were doing like passing open guard, and I literally was just standing there and I was like moving his legs to the side, and he's like, Jesus, man. And then I just like, I literally stood up and put his feet like on my hips, and I just spun like a twirl around his legs, and I passed his guard. He's like, God damn it.
Well, I'm like thinking about it in my head, right? I'm like, why am I just, I'm using my legs, throwing my legs up there, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm not grabbing an ankle or something, and getting in more points where I could hold you down.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm just throwing my legs up here like an idiot. So they're just swinging them out the way. Like, it's, but it's been a while. It's been a while. But I'm like, and I realize it later. I'll be driving home like, well, that was stupid.
Yeah. You're like, retrospectively, you're like,
Yeah.
God, I'm a moron, man. Like, what am I doing to myself?
Yeah,
man?
then, Cody's teaching the class, and he's like, yeah, so go ahead and swing over to the side and grab an ankle. I was like, yeah, I don't know why I wasn't doing that earlier.
You're like, like another big one, right? It's like if you're trying to elevate their hips, but you're 6 feet away from them, it's not going to work. You have to get under their hips to elevate their hips. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I'm a fucking idiot, dude. Like,
Yeah. I really appreciate the way we've been warming up, too. I really like that.
what's different about that?
We're just drilling. Like
Oh,
just
yeah.
Jiu-jitsu drilling,
Yeah, we still do it, like a few stretches and
Yeah.
a couple calisthenic things, but not nearly like a 30-minute warm-up or something like that. I've heard some horror stories from some of you guys online of, you're literally doing a strength and conditioning class before your jiu-jitsu class. And I'm not gonna lie, I would probably quit jiu-jitsu if that was if that was our warm-up, man. I'm good on that. If we run around in circles on the mat, I'm like, jeez, man, God.
I mean, that's just not good for my energy management at this point.
Yeah,
I need every calorie expended doing jiu-jitsu.
your gas tank is like already like halfway full when
Yeah,
you
I'm
show
like,
it to
Jesus.
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but on training days, I'm even strict on the diet. Like,
Yeah.
I want to make sure I can show up to class and be comfortable.
Yeah, what do you do before class? Like, do you do anything special? Like, do you eat something? Do you have like carbohydrates, or what do you do before class?
So generally, if we're just talking diet, like I end up fasting just like you do for the most part.
Yeah.
The last meal I prefer to eat is around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's interesting.
And then I'm not going to eat breakfast till 8 o'clock the next day.
Yeah.
8 a.m. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
On training days, the last time I'm going to eat is probably 1 o'clock. And it's going to be something like white rice and chicken. Like, I do not want, to eat 2 pieces of pizza and drink something and then go to class I don't know how people are, but when you show up at class and if like your stomach's upset or
Yeah.
you're feeling like bloated or something, it makes training horrible. If you're
Horrible.
burping the whole time and you're like, oh my God, like I don't want that. So I try to really, I want to say eat bland and feel my best when we start class.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll eat some fruit or something around. I usually I get home around 3 o'clock in the afternoon from work, and so I'll eat until maybe 3:30 at the latest. And it's mostly like you said, like I might have a PB&J, something simple that's not heavy, some fruit, an apple, banana. Actually, I probably wouldn't eat a banana because that stuff sits in my stomach and I'll be burping up. But I'm like,
And nobody wants that, right? You're like, "Bleh."
right. And then I'll like drink like my pre-workout or something like that, and then drink a bunch of water before that also to make sure that I'm like hydrated, because I've definitely gone to class before where I don't drink like my usual amounts of water, and I'm sitting in class, I'm like, God, I feel like trash, man.
Yeah, I've really been looking into it. I'm not diabetic, and I'm sure some people are that probably listen to this, so I know diet's a big part of it. But I follow a guy on Facebook who wears a monitor 24/7, and he shares the results of what his blood sugar looks like after he eats certain things. because you know how it is, right? Sometimes you eat and you just feel like crap afterwards.
Yep,
That's
yep.
really your blood sugar just spiking and then you're tanked, right? So now I even look at what he's eating and showing. So I'm like, okay, I can eat that. My blood sugar won't spike before class. But yeah, I'm definitely trying to maximize the class time where I feel good and I have energy. That's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for.
Yeah, it makes sense. You don't eat after class then either? You don't have like a protein shake or anything like that after class?
I do. I do that Heal protein from the Amino Co. Yeah, that's now what I do for the instead of eating, it's like liquid calories.
Right after class or right when
Yeah,
you get
right
home?
when I get home. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really like John mentioned, I do intermittent fasting. I typically eat 7 or 10 a.m., 9 or 10 a.m. depending on how I'm feeling. Sometimes I can't wait until 10 a.m. because my stomach, I'm just like, ooh, I got that emptiness feeling. I'm like, I need to eat something, man. Or I'm like, something just doesn't feel right. So I'll eat 9 or 10 a.m. and I don't eat again, and I'll eat until 6 or 7 p.m., which I know you said is too late for you, but it works for me because then I wake up super early, so I can't wait too late in the day to eat because I'm just like so hungry.
I wish I had like personal trainer money where I had like a personal chef. You know, somebody's making
Yeah.
all these nice clean meals. You stay energized. You know, I really try to plan around it. Like even that Christmas party we went to yesterday, I didn't want to eat there. So
Yeah.
I made sure I ate something healthy at home and like ate that before I went there just because
Yeah.
I didn't want to feel like shit today or any of that stuff.
I've been Lordell bought some chicken thighs lately, and I got this. If you guys watch YouTube, Guga Foods on YouTube, I bought his seasoning, pretty good. But I've been eating like yesterday, like kind of like what you said. I felt like I hadn't had really any protein, so I like fried up some seared some chicken thighs real quick and ate that before we went over. I was like, God damn, this stuff is so good, man.
Yeah.
So, but what's your goal for your jiu-jitsu right now?
Well,
Besides the 2 classes, do you have like a technique or something that you want to get back that you feel is missing besides your showing up in your cardio?
well, so goals. Definitely moving into 2023. I want to be consistent. And I think I'm just going to really try to go with whatever the class is teaching, right? Like, generally it used to be if they taught whatever they're teaching, Kimura's or whatever. Maybe I had something I wanted to work on, right? Because maybe we went through Kimura's 50 times in the last 3 or 4 years. So as soon as rolls were starting, I was just doing my own thing, right? And I think this time around, I'm just going to focus on whatever the class is doing. I'm just going to shoot for it while we're rolling. I'm really going to put myself out there. I'm sure I'm going to get submitted a million times, but I really don't care.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just want to be more playful, more fun, more open. And no, I'm probably not going to do much internet researching at all and just go with whatever the class is teaching.
So we mentioned in a couple episodes ago, like obtainable goals. Like what are you going to put into place to make sure that these are actually accomplished?
That's interesting. So I'm kind of doing that now, right? Right now, the minimum is 1 roll at the end of class, and that's where I'm really just being free playing and shooting for whatever I want. But what I'm doing is what we went over in class in there. Like I'm not trying anything else. That's why even with John, I kept reaching out for his arm. I was trying, even though he was killing me and crushing me.
Yeah.
They kept putting me underneath him. I was like, whatever. I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to treat it like I'm going to have to increase incrementally at least times 1 for every class. So what I mean by that is for the last 2 weeks, I've been doing the 1 roll, right? So maybe for the month of January, I'll make sure it's 2. So,
okay.
So I'll fail if I don't do two rolls after class. And I know a lot of people are thinking 2 rolls, that ain't shit. But what we're doing in class right now is a lot of sparring.
Yeah.
Like we're putting it in the class.
Yeah.
So we're getting a lot of that. Like you feel like you've rolled by the time class is over. Like you've gotten that cardio that you wanted and that struggle.
Yep.
Because the way we're doing it is you're being put in a position and then we're spending 2 or 3 minutes back and forth trying to get out of it or reverse it. So I think I'm going to go with something like that. That way it's measurable too, right? So if I do 1, I failed. 2, I did good. And I think I'm just going to try to increase that each month.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Everyone, this episode is brought to you by Manscaped. This holiday season, I'll be giving thanks to our friends over at Manscaped. Everyone loves turkey and stuffing, but you'll be looking like dessert with the help of Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have blessed you with the ultimate Thanksgiving dinner topic. Tell your in-laws about your new cutting-edge ball trimmer and gift yourself or the man in your life the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Trim your pumpkins by going to manscaped.com and use code ETP20 for free shipping and 20% off.
Recently, John and I have received the shampoo, conditioner, and deodorant. And I'm not lying to you, I probably won't ever use any other shampoo and conditioner and deodorant. John, how do you like it?
Man, I 100% love it. And matter of fact, the deodorant is probably my favorite. It's also aluminum free, which is something I look for in all my deodorants. Yep. Not only do I like it, but my wife loves it.
Yeah. And what's nice about the shampoo and conditioner and deodorant, it has that Manscaped smell, but it's not super overpowering. The deodorant, I can't talk highly enough about the deodorant. Just something about it. I feel great. It goes on thin, aluminum free.
As far as the materials they used for the shampoo and the conditioner, it's not a cheap bottle.
It's metal.
It is nice. I was thoroughly impressed.
Get 20% off and free shipping with code ETP20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using code ETP20. Be thankful this holiday season for the best gift of all from Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. Thank you, Manscaped, for sponsoring this episode. My goals are pretty much similar to that. Personally for jiu-jitsu, I mean, if I could get my purple belt by the end of 2023, that'd be dope. But if that doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. It's not a big deal to me. It's kind of a back burner goal. Like, I don't want to focus on it too much because I don't want it to inhibit me from enjoying the process again. You know what I mean? But yeah, I would definitely like to spar. Right now I do about 2. I would like to get to January I would like January to be 2 sparring, at least 2 rolls, and then for the rest of the year 3 or 4 rolls at minimum. But it's hard because sometimes we get out of class late, and it's like if it's 7:30 and we're bowing out, I'm sorry, I can't roll. I have to go. Like, my marriage is more important than my jiu-jitsu.
Well, I mean, you can face it, right? Like,
yeah.
When we go to class, it affects the next day.
Yep.
Like, I'll be honest, I'm never as sharp at work the next day because I have a hard time sleeping nights after class.
After jiu-jitsu? Really?
Yeah, because I'm too keyed up. Like, my mind's wired. My body's still got adrenaline running through it. And I'm old. I normally go to sleep like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Same here.
So on nights we do jiu-jitsu, I can't fall asleep till damn near midnight. And the alarm's gone off at 4. So it's just the way it is.
I actually sleep better on jiu-jitsu nights. So how about you guys? Are you guys having a hard time at home with jiu-jitsu or sleeping after jiu-jitsu, or is it pretty easy for you to sleep after jiu-jitsu? Because for me, it's easy. I'm exhausted. I get home, my kids are already asleep. My wife is chilling. We'll hang out until like 9 o'clock, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed. Like,
no, my mind is on full blast after class.
You don't do anything to like decompress after you get home, or?
There's not enough time. It takes me hours to decompress.
I don't know. I'm not like that.
I wonder if that's for anyone, though, that maybe people that work out late at night or somebody that runs on a treadmill at 8 p.m., like gets the blood pumping.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's an interesting. Maybe I wonder why it's like that for you. Has it always been like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to minimum of 3 rolls if time permits. I would like a minimum of 3 rolls after every class. And also, I really want to get better at inverting. I am terrible at inverting, and I watch like some of our friends, and I'm like, man, I really want to learn how to invert. Not necessarily because I think it looks cool too, but like for guard retention, a lot of people invert, and they'll berimbolo or they'll Granby roll or whatever to like have guard retention. My guard, like I mentioned, my open guard's not very good. So if I could learn to utilize an inversion to help with my guard retention, I would really like that to be. Shoot, if I could get that within a couple months, I would really appreciate that. If you guys have any tips out there or any people that you watched on inverting, please let me know, because I would really like to learn how to implement it in my game, even though I'm a little bit of a bigger guy.
I was about to say, it seems like the taller, lankier guys have an easier time with that.
Or shorter, skinnier.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like right in the middle. I'm like,
yeah, I mean, my stomach's in the
height.
way for inversion, like that's another obstacle.
Right. So that's like a technical side of jiu-jitsu I'd really like to do. Also, expanding my leg attacks too. If I could learn how to do more leg attacks, You remember when we first learned straight ankle locks?
Yes.
And like we would hit them all the time.
And probably still could. They're not on the, they're on a lot of people's mind now.
Yeah, I would really like to get back into some straight ankle lock game because like if I go to that knee bar, like how I get into my knee bars, I should probably like go for straight ankle locks because I don't know, it's an easier move, not necessarily easier, but it's another move. But yeah, I would like to those two things get back into or get more leg locks under my arsenal, and then be able to fluidly invert for guard retention or whatever by the end of the year. But we'll see how that goes. So
now that I hear some of your goals, I'm like, okay, I could add a few more to mine now.
and I'll probably actually I'll probably write these down and have, you know, like we mentioned, the micro goals underneath them, like the actions to take in order to accomplish these. And like I said, like if you guys have any for inverting, if you guys have any resources, please let me know because I have a really hard time doing it. Like when we just simply Granby roll down the mat, I'm like, I am terrible at it.
Right. If anyone's ever seen me try any of that, you'll laugh.
Yeah. So, but hey, John, you got anything else, man?
I don't think so, man. Looking forward to meeting those goals.
Yeah, looking forward to 2023. See what the stuff happens in 2023. The podcast goals. Oh, I forgot to mention the podcast goals. So for the podcast, man, if we could make, I won't say how much money we make now on the podcast because this is I can't believe this year has been amazing for the podcast. We actually started getting paid by Manscaped for the podcast, and I would like to pick up another paying sponsor. Besides like AminoCo and Manscaped, and then also I would like to be able to pay for everything for the podcast by the podcast. No personal money, and I know what number that is, and we'll that's why I think we need another sponsor, and that way, because now we have an editor. If you guys haven't noticed, the YouTube videos on our YouTube page, if you don't follow or if you're not subscribed to our YouTube page, go. Our recent YouTube videos, our last two, I hired an editor. His name is Ben Jitsu, or his not name's Ben Jitsu, but it's Ben Jitsu on YouTube or Instagram. He's Ben Does Jiu-Jitsu on YouTube. He's a blue belt over in the UK, but he's actually a YouTube video editor for us now, and he's been doing a phenomenal job. So shout out to Ben if you're listening or watching this. Thanks for all your hard work and great product. So I've been investing in that. That way I can push out more content to you guys and makes life easier for me. So hopefully one day I would love to have him as our full-time editor, and I don't have to do any of this.
That's a good goal. Then we could just come on here and just talk.
2023, I would like to hire Ben as a full-time editor. I need to get that off my plate because it is a lot of work. So, but, you know, and if we could have double the downloads that we'll have a month right now, I would really like that too. So, and I need to do micro goals on that too. But those are the macro goals for 2023. So let us know what your guys' goals are for 2023. And like John mentioned, right? Tell people, they hold you accountable, right?
Yeah, they do. Sometimes you just need a ride.
So, hey guys, thank you so much for listening and watching at home. And remember, no oil checks here.
Oof.
All right, guys. Peace.